that game went just about as poorly as it possibly could for obviously not just the team and all of us as fans, but me personally, which is really at the end of the day what matters here. And I started Jake Allen over Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in fantasy in the finals in the championship match. And while Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen did not play the greatest, he's got the W, and Allen did not. Goalie stats on the other side of that matchup weren't great either, so whatever. That's not what this channel's about, but that Allen performance, his recent starts, he had the one stinker. Otherwise, I feel like he has been very good for us. In this one, he made a couple fine, good, solid stops, but no absolute heroic ones. And even with 6 goals, what was it, 5 against for him, I don't even feel like he had the worst of games, because every goal against, even almost every goal for, I believe, it was all deflections. Every single one in this one. I mean, we started off the game with, of course, the Devils getting scored against first, as Carlson snapped his crazy drought of not scoring a goal, shooting the puck, deflecting off of one Devils player, then deflecting off another Devils player, and into the net. Even with that, I felt like we were the absolute better of the two teams through the first, definitely through the second, and as we'll get to here, the absolute collapse and crumble of the team there in the third period. We end up tying the game there late in the first with a power play goal. Beautiful setup. Timo Meier one-timer in the back of the net. You guessed it, off of a slight deflection off of the Pittsburgh Penguin defender. Oh, I don't think I mentioned it. Penguins beat the Devils, a score of 6-3. One of the few times the Devils have lost while having not just a lead heading into the third, but a multi-goal lead heading into the third period. If there's been anything the Devils have actually been somewhat consistent at other than the inconsistency, it's been taking multi-goal leads into the third period and closing it out. And this was the complete opposite of that. But before the epic collapse happened, we did have a very strong second period. I was actually a little upset at the team. Again, Allen in fantasy. I was like, can we give up a little bit more shots? Let this guy rack up some saves here, maybe pump up the save percentage, because he had given up the 1. And we didn't even do that. We just held him to very few shots against and gave up a ton. So, But before that happened, we ended up taking a 2-goal lead. We had the beautiful fourth line play where I basically described it as one of the most stereotypical fourth line shift that you can imagine, at least in today's NHL, and then capped it off with a behind the net pass to the front, which you guessed deflected off a Penguins player, leaving it right in the net front for Lazar to actually reel it back in and roof a very good shot there from Lazar. Snaps his goal drought as well. Got a great interview from him in between the periods. Lazar is always a great interview. Quickly has become a favorite of mine for sure. If you've been watching this channel from the start, you would know that. And then we had I believe there was actually a really strong play from Marino that happened on earlier in the shift before the third goal that kind of led to breaking up a strong offensive zone shift from the Penguins that then went back towards the Penguins, but then came back towards us, and then that's when the Nico play happened. We then got the puck up to Bratt, patented breakaway, end goal. Bratt has continued to be very strong in the top line. Every player on it has continued to be strong between Nico, Bratt, and Timo. But of course, we close out the second period, super strong, dominant, right? Felt like we were almost going to walk away with this one. Half the Penguins team is sick. They have a bunch of guys called up because guys are sick. They're on a back-to-back. They're, again, sick. And Crosby and Malkin stuck it to us. So I'm definitely a little upset with the second goal, the power play goal against there. Really, we just shouted out Bratt. It was, of course, going to be one of the very few 6 penalty on the whole season, the few he'll ever take. That completely led to the momentum shift in this one. But probably the worst part of that, outside of, giving up the power play goal, again, deflects off of Malkin to Crosby, who stuffs it in. It's Malkin cross-checks Smith in the net front there, puts him right on his chest. Smith is down and gone on the ice, which allows for the pass to basically get through for free to Malkin. Again, deflects off Malkin to Crosby, stuffs it into the wide open net, because Allen has to respect the basically free lane that the guy has, because again, Smith is dead on the ice from a cross check from Malkin. From there, Penguins then are able to tie up the game because of a puck deflecting off of Malkin. We had the Raquel goal, which the puck was a deflection, purposeful deflection off of his stick. So obviously a little bit of skill there at least. But Malkin's was off, I think, like the inner thigh and goes into the net. That's another goal against. Obviously, what was the last, the fourth one? Because I think Raquel was the fifth one. The fourth one was, God, I remember, it was all just so awful. And we had the Crosby empty netter, of course, smacking it. You could even say deflected off of Luke's stick, although I didn't watch the replay on that one if Crosby got it clean or not. But that was essentially the game. It was the Brett penalty into the power play goal against with the missed call cross check from Malkin on Smith. Then another deflection. From there, I think, the run of play was fine. The hit on Nemec wasn't dirty. It was definitely a penalty. I'd be pissed as a Penguins fan if that is called basically retroactively, because Penguins had possession for forever. They got together and then called the penalty afterwards. Jack was fine tonight. Again, if you're going to hold Jack to the Jack Hughes standard, I felt like it was definitely not his best game. If you hold it to just NHL standard, where, I try to keep all of my judgments, Jack Hughes is still one of the best players, if not the best on the ice there. Doesn't get onto the score sheet, but he's still doing Jack Hughes things, setting up plays, stripping pucks away, great back checks, all the stuff Jack does night in, night out. He just wasn't, electrifying, taking over a game Jack Hughes here. And that's really what you need from your star player down the stretch. But as is kind of coming through the whisper mill, he is playing through a bit of an injury here, and that would explain that. Brat steps up, Nico steps up, Timo steps up, Luke's on the score sheet. And that's really the team there. Another player I do want to talk about real quickly, I felt like Holtz actually had probably one of his best plays of the entire season. The behind the net forecheck, stripping the puck away, beautiful pass over to Jack, who just hits the side of the net on the shot there. That puck goes in. Who knows how the rest of the game also plays out from there, because that would have been much earlier on. And instead, he ends up getting cut from most of his shifts. Now, I didn't check the actual shift chart, and I know Bill had mentioned he didn't really have a 5-on-5 shift through the entire second, most of the first, and then into the third. I thought I did see him out there after the power play shift that he got. Maybe I'm mistaken, or maybe that was just leading off on the tail end of the power play. But if he was scratched that long, definitely looking forward to listening to the post-game presser after recording this to see what the reasoning was there. Was he complete missed assignment on that Siegenthaler pass that basically gave Carlson the double deflection goal? It's not even hard to be super upset at it's a double deflection goal, so I don't know how upset you're going to be at that. And I don't know. The team just fell apart there in the third period, and that's probably it for the crazy playoff run. I think from here you have to win them all, right? You have to beat the Rangers, you have to beat the Flyers, or you have to beat the Islanders. Penguins were a team we had to beat in this race here. Bill was talking about it all night. I don't know if he jinxed it or I jinxed it with the fantasy setup, but we're getting close to that mathematical elimination here. I know Washington lost, which is a help, but Islanders at the time of recording this had tied the game, so them winning would also make it almost impossible. But if Flyers lose, Capitals keep losing, Islanders and Penguins keep middling out, but Penguins seem to be on one heck of a run here. Was this points in 6 straight games for them, like 4-0-2, since Nedeljkovic took over. I'm assuming they're going to run him into the ground to close out the season here, so we can get an absolute stand-on-head performance from Kokkonen tomorrow. Rangers have not been playing that great, at least 5-on-5. We know they are Shesterkin and power play merchants for the most part. They had stretches this season, actually, where that wasn't the case, surprisingly. But they kind of have fallen back into that again. So, hopefully we have a Jack Hughes stand-up performance, as he always seems to do against the Rangers. And, they're going to come in rested. Technically, we're traveling on the back-to-back, but it's New York, right? That's whatever. Oh, there goes my light. So I guess that's telling me to go ahead and end this recording here. For those of you that have made it this long into the video, this late into the season, shouts out to you guys. Absolutely appreciate the love and support. We only got a handful or so games left to go, and That seemingly might do it for the season outside of a miracle run. So, as always and forever, let's go Devils, baby.